KB's unemployed she. He's unemployed and didn't know what to do, so he started a shade. Toss a boss stuff to kill time. He didn't know what to call it, so he called it KB's Unemployed Show.
Day 65. And I am still unemployed. And you know what? I'm kind of loving it. I am kind of liking it, although I did get my job offer for the summer. And I might do to be a starter and a ranger at Erin Hills, which I'm looking forward to. Love the game of golf. In fact, I grew up in Antigo, Wisconsin, as I've made clear that I came from north of the wall. And one of my earliest, I guess what you could call it a job, it really wasn't a job as much as I would rake traps by hand, and cut around with a hand mower and cut grass around poles of, hole markers and the like with a hand mower out at Riverview Country Club outside of Antigo on Highway 64, and I would do that in exchange for free golf. They had a driving range with just the crappiest balls you could ever possibly imagine. They all had smiles in them, but I'd go out with the red bag and pick those up, all just because I wanted to play. And that was my job. In fact, I would ride my bike. Now, this is going to sound like one of those. I used to walk uphill 3 miles every day. I would ride my bike from Antigo, my home in Antigo, out the back way because I didn't want to ride on the highway because I was a young kid. So I rode the back way, carrying my golf bag. And that's before they had the X straps, the cross straps of the golf bag. And it was before they had those available. And so I would ride those out. I would ride out with my clubs on my back. And that's how I ended up just falling in love with the game of golf. And now I get to end you could say my first job I did for free golf. My last job, perhaps, I'm going to do there'll be some free golf. But there is also pay involved, which I am liking quite a bit. So I might hit you guys up for some advice, for career advice, because right now I'm pretty sure that I'm too old to get a decent job anywhere. And I know Sue's not happy about that. And, to be perfectly honest with you, I can't blame her. But the fact of the matter is you get to the older age and no one's hiring you at all. Working in media was easy because you can be ageless as long as you're on the radio and you're not on television. That's not a problem at all because you don't have a look. You only need a voice. But it doesn't, I don't know if I'll ever be back on the radio. So I might have to come up with something during the winter. If anyone's got any advice on, I don't know, when you should start taking your Social Security or dipping into your 401k, why not just turn this into a whole financial segment, huh? But a lot of stuff coming up on the show today. Some interesting things happen in the Olympics. Of course, I can't really talk sports, so my Olympic coverage will just be reading some headlines, but making some commentary on some things that I saw and that are not necessarily sports related. They just happened to occur around a sports event. We've got the great Wink McAllister. We found him. He's in Milan, and Wink is going to be joining us. And there are just, of course, we're going to have What Color is the Sky on Your Planet? This one coming to us from Wisconsin. Kenneth is over there chewing on his ball, which I'll show you in a minute. It is the Kong. It is a Kong that is supposed to be indestructible, and they're wrong. It is very, very destructible. So we will be doing that one, and I have a top 5 today. My top 5 favorite Winter Olympics moments, and these are the ones that I remember. We all have memories of the Olympics and things that where we were when this happened and what have you. And these are my top 5, and they're kind of interesting. They're not going to necessarily be what other people think. Kenneth, can you keep it quiet? Thank you. Thank you very much. I may have to go over there and empty this because he's driving me crazy. Can you just sit for a second? Thank you very much. Hey, Kenneth, we're going to, oops, sorry, big guy. We're going to dump this out so that you can have your treats and you're not going to be chewing on this. There you go. So I get the big mitt full of treats. Here we go. Back. I'm back again. So here we go. I'm going to show you the indestructible Kong toy. Are you ready? This was indestructible. Wrong. It is not. If anyone knows someone at the Kong factory, we can tell them that this is not pit bull safe by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, I'm going to do my top 5. My top 5 favorite Winter Olympics moments. I kind of like the Winter Olympics better than the Summer Olympics. Sue is a Summer Olympics person. I'm more of a Winter Olympics person. She ran track in high school and college. I did not do anything remotely athletic, even in the winter. I skied, but that was about it. But I like the Winter Olympics. She likes the Summer Olympics. So, but to get things started, what we're going to do, Jeff, serve bundlers in winter at a simulator and be a starter in the summer. Damn, Jeff, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about bartending at a simulator. That is a fantastic idea. And they just, I live out in the northwest side of Milwaukee, and I have not been there yet, but they just built a big simulator out in the industrial park. And it has a bar, of course, but they got a chick in a golf cart that drives, it's that big, that drives from simulator to simulator. So they have a bev cart in the simulator. I guess the simulator bar that drives back and forth. I have to get out there and see that because that looks pretty cool. But that's a perfect idea, Jeff. Thank you very much. Work at an indoor. Yeah. I mean, bartending is good because bartending at a simulator is great because you could get, daytime shifts and you could, you're probably not open till 2 a.m. But being a starter and a marshal and a ranger is going to be just like awesome. And especially at Erin Hills, because then I can play out there and I can use the range. My son started at Erin Hills when he was 14. That was his first job, working out at Erin Hills. Of course, I knew the Jimmy Lombardo, who is now the director at golf. Knew him for years. Came from Oconomowoc Country Club and then went to Ozaki. One of the nicest guys you're ever going to want to meet. He's one of the coolest guys you ever want to meet. And then Richie Tock, who was he is now the director of golf emeritus out there. And I knew him from Ozaki Country Club. And he, when my son was about 14 or 15, and this is right after Erin Hills opened, right? Because they were still using golf carts. And so I called him up and I said, my son, hey, can my son get a job working the cart barn? And my son did not play golf at all. And they're like, yeah, we can get him out there, bring him out here. And so he got this job working. He got hired to work in the cart barn. He was 15 years old. He got hired. He was about 2 weeks before the age of 15, and brought him out there. And it was one of the funniest things because here you got a kid who really, up until that point, hadn't done any work per se. I know my wife said she started working when she was about 12 or 13, picking cabbage on a farm down near Sturdivant. To this day, she won't eat cabbage. And quite honestly, to this day, I won't either because I just don't like eating regular cabbage. But on his very first day, a couple weeks before shy of his 15th birthday, and I drive him out to Erin Hills. And I go and I say, okay, first day of work, I go see Jimmy. And they go, okay, let's get you your shirts, your hats, all the stuff you need. You have to wear khaki pants, blah, 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 blah. And take the shirts out of your first check. Yeah, that's what you do. That's why you get your uniform, right? You take it out of your first check. So I take him out there. It's about noon when he's going to start. So I get him out there. They walk around. They give him his clothes. They give him his hat and everything. And so he can't drive yet. So I say what time do you want? I say to, Jimmy, what time do you want me to pick him up? And he goes, oh, about 9:30. And the look that my son gave me was priceless. I mean, he was sitting there all excited to work. And Jimmy says 9:30. And it was this. With that look, it's like, what the hell did you just do to me? So right out of the gate, he's doing a 9.5 hour shift. So we go to pick him up and it's dark. And I figure, well, let's see, he's probably pretty gassed, right? And we get in the car and he has got a smile. He is grinning from ear to ear. And so I said, how was the first day of work? And he goes, I loved it. I'm buying ice cream. Let's call mom and see what she wants. And proceeds to reach into his pocket and pull out this Tony Soprano wad of bills of tips. And he was making pretty good money plus tips at the time. Pulls out this huge wad of cash. And for one shift, and it was a split. It was a tip split. And I bet you there was close to $100 there. And that's what he did all summer. And he worked and just made tax-free American dollars. I mean, a ton of tax-free American dollars, right? And he absolutely loved it, but he'd never played golf. And it was the smartest thing I think I ever did as a parent because I didn't force them into it. Now, a lot of people, their dads play golf. You see them out on the range. They get their kid out next to them. They're yelling at them, and, oh, you got to do this. And, kids don't know. Kids, unless they're incredibly gifted, they have no idea what their angles are supposed to be or, if you're subscribed to the Ben Hogan, what wrist supination is. And that school of thought. So he never played golf. And I never forced him to. Now it's his favorite sport in the world is golf. Is his absolute favorite sport in the world. And I'm convinced it's because I didn't make him do it. But where did he learn how to play golf? He learned how to play golf out at Erin Hills with all the other kids in the cart barn. And he learned how to hit by slinging just roped 4-irons at the guys in the range picker. And that's what they do. They go out there, someone would be driving the range picker around and they'd be out there with a club just trying to hit the range picker. He's pretty wicked with a 4-iron. Hits it far, hits it a long, long way, long and wrong. And, but, hockey player. And so he's really strong through the hitting area and just can take it deep. And that's one of the most humiliating things that could possibly happen if you are a dad, right? When you're playing golf with your son. And it's one of those watershed moments in your life. And that's the day that your kid first outdrives you. And it is somewhat humiliating. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I can still smoke him. He can hang with me for a little bit, but he doesn't have the short game. I can still take him apart if I have to. But then I play like an old man now. I don't sit there and try and jump on drivers, or I don't go after par 5s and 2 or anything like that anymore. But the day that your kid outdrives you, it's a red letter day for sure. And it is humbling. And I remember exactly when it happened. And it was on the third hole at Erin Hills. We were playing third hole at Erin Hills, and it's about a 427 yards, somewhere around there, 400 and some odd yards. And I hit my drive, and you tee off, and it's elevated tee, and then it goes down in a highly elevated green. So even if you hit a good tee shot, right, you got a long way to go, and you got to hit it up the hill. So I hit my drive, and I kind of pull it to the left. And isn't this amazing? I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I can remember every shot on this hole. And I'm kind of in the first cut of the rough, and it's sitting up, but I probably 200 out, right? I mean, I didn't hit it well at all. So I'm about 200 yards out. So I have to rip, well, a little more than 200. So I have to rip a 5-wood at the hole to get it home because of the elevation. And I do, and I'm like pin high on the side of the green. I'm feeling good about myself. And he had just absolutely striped one down the middle. I'm just hit a freaking rocket. And not only did he outdrive me, but he trolls me mercilessly. He mercilessly trolled me. So I hit my shot, and I said, "Where did you go?" And we're walking. We're walking, and we're walking, and we're walking. And we're still walking. And we get to his ball, and he looks down, and he kind of sees where the marker is. And he turns to me, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, what should I hit from 100 yards?" And it's like, go F yourself. Yeah, he not only did he outdrive me for the very first time, he did it by about 95 yards. Yeah, hit it over 300 yards, a little bastard. But now he hits it a long way, but I still beat him because he's around the greens. He's got the touch of a serial rapist. He can't do anything with soft hands at all. But yeah, I will be starting out there in May, and I'm like super pumped. Sue's not really pumped about it, but I am super pumped about it because it really is my dream job. I always, I talk to kids all the time, right? I talk to students all the time, and I go, "What's your dream job?" Right? And when I do like career days, and kids, when they get in that situation, they want to give you the smart answer. And I said, "So what's your dream job?" And it's like high school kids, especially, is, "Well, what I want to do is I want to go to college, and when I get out of college, I want to work in finance or want to work in sales and do this and that." And I look at him, I go, "Really?" I go, "That's your dream? You've been dreaming about that since you were a kid, going to work in sales? That's it. That is your dream right there. That's what you were growing up to be, not a fireman, not a cop, not any. You want to be working sales?" And I do recall one time a kid looks back at me, and after I busted his chops about that, he looks back at me and he says, "Okay, so what's your dream job?" I said, "Anywhere I can wear shorts." And I go, "That's a dream job. A dream job isn't necessarily a career. It's a dream job. How do you want to spend your day?" And that's mine. Anywhere that I can wear shorts. That is my dream job. All right, up to 11 people today. Let's go. Let's effing go. I think people are on to me. I think they are. I think they have figured out how stupid this is, and it's not worth their time. But that's fine. I don't mind, because people are they're still watching, and they're going back to the YouTube page, which you should do, because I'm sending out a little bit, some shorts where you don't have to get the full KB meal. You can get just a little taste if you want. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics, right? But right now, as I start out with every show, it is time for today's news. And today's news, I'm going to start off with a very, very sad story. unfortunately. And it has recently been reported that the Green Bay Packers have lost one of their absolute biggest fans. James Vanderbeek passed away today at the age of 48. Yes, Dawson Leary, the star of Dawson's Creek. He was diagnosed with colorectal cancer, sadly, passed away at the age of 48, so young. He leaves behind a wife and 6 kids. But while he appeared in Varsity Blues and Scary Movie, he never really got out from underneath that Dawson Leary character. And, of course, Dawson's Creek, the show that made all of us absolutely hate Paula Cole songs. Later on in his career, he actually embraced his inner Vanderbeekness, doing a lot of Funny or Die videos and playing himself in a TV show called Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, which wasn't a bad show. I used to watch that. But his passing leaves behind Billy Zabka as the 90s heartthrob we now make fun of. And yeah, he was a huge, huge Packers fan. And as you can see, there he is, a shot of him and one of his sons outside of Lambeau Field. So our thoughts and prayers go out to James Vanderbeek's family. Scientists from NASA and other space agencies around the world had to come out with this warning. They are warning people to avoid having sex in space. Okay. I don't think that was on my bucket list. I don't even think there's a possibility. And they say, while the idea of astronauts getting down in zero gravity might sound funny, it is no laughing matter, because scientists are strongly warning that it's dangerous to try and make babies up there. They're still trying to figure out the effects of radiation and microgravity and fertility and reproduction. And until they figure it out, they don't want anyone messing around. Now, that brings up a question. Well, first of all, I don't think there's any of us right here today that are going to die from sex in space. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. No one is going to die from having sex in space. But I am not going to lie. It has crossed my mind that over the course of all the space exploration that we've done, and the International Space Station, right, and the Challenger missions, someone at some point, for the best interest of science, if you will, right, someone had to go up there and snap one off, right? Someone had to go up there and try and hook up, right? Isn't that in science? Aren't you going to, if you want to look at procreating, if you want to look at living on another planet, and Elon Musk just said that he is going to shelve his plans for getting to Mars, and he's going to look, his next move is to build a lunar city on the moon, because he said it's going to be easier, that there is only a certain window of launch days that you can launch in order to get to Mars, and it's a 6-month journey. But you got to figure that they had to test this out, right? They had to test it out. But they're saying, NASA's saying, no, do not have sex in space. Well, I can tell you, NASA, sex in space is not happening for me. Probably not in the, I guess you could say, the living room, kitchen, or family room either. Safe here. All safe here. A Dallas seventh grader by the name of Aiden McMillan. Now, we all want our kids to be smart, right? Now, 7th grade is what? 12 years old? Somewhere around there, 12 years old. This is a 7th grader. Aiden McMillan has successfully achieved nuclear fusion. You got a 7th grader splitting the atom. But here's the other thing. He did it after 4 years of dedicated work on his science project. He began studying nuclear physics at age 8 years old, spending 2 years on research before building the prototypes for getting neutrons. He started at 8. Okay? 8 years old. And he has now split the atom. He was tearing up about it because it was like really hard to describe. It's like the end of a long, long journey. Okay. His mother, right? His mother initially had concerns about the safety of the project. Geez, what would have concerned you? The nuclear reaction? And what do you do as a parent? What are you doing in there, Aiden? What are you doing? Splitting the atom. Oh, I don't think so. But she said there were some. He said there were some alarm bells with my mom. She was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Take a step back and tell me exactly what could go wrong." Oh, I don't know. The release of nuclear particles into your home. That would probably go wrong. So he is now applying to the Guinness World Records Book of World Records to become the youngest person to achieve nuclear fusion. The current record belongs to Jackson Oswalt of Tennessee, who completed the feat just before his 13th birthday in 2018. So Jackson Oswalt in Tennessee probably moved on to cooking meth, in the backwoods. So you get that nuclear fusion thing under control. 13, who is doing? I don't know if I would be. I suppose you could be proud of your son for doing it. I suppose if they're going on to a career in nuclear physics, I suppose that they're really smart, but I don't know if I want my son trying to split the atom, at least until he's 17, right? A little bit earlier. Harvard, of course, this school of higher learning. The icon, right? It's the gold standard. There's a grade inflation problem at Harvard. So the faculty committee has recommended implementing a 20% cap on A grades to combat grade inflation. And I can tell you something, grade inflation is a thing, right? And probably more so in high school, although you could probably accuse me of grade inflation as well. Because if there's one way to shut up a kid, give him an A. And I'm not even kidding about that. Although, if you go on Rate My Professor, and maybe I'll do that, I'll read my Rate My Professor rankings, because it's either they love me or they hate me. And I had a kid absolutely take me apart limb from limb on Rate My Professor. And as I looked at it, and they always say, what grade did you get in the class? This kid absolutely went nuclear on me. And I looked at the grade. He said, what grade did you receive? I looked at it, it was an A. So he still found it important after getting an A to go and tear me a new one, at which point, and I knew exactly who it was. It's real easy to figure out who these students are. You can tell just by the way they write and the way they do things that and how pissy they were in class. He gets an A, and then he goes totally nuclear on me. But Harvard is saying, we're looking at putting a 20% cap on A grades to combat grade inflation. This represents a significant drop from, get this number, a 66% A grades during the previous academic year. 66% of the students at Harvard were getting A's. And you go, well, that doesn't really are they all that smart? Or is Harvard, just pushing people through, right? And in 2012, only 35% of grades were A's, but it's 66% last year. And right now, 60% of undergrads at Harvard have A's, more than double the percentage from 20 years ago. I've done that, I'll give kids A's if it makes them happy, right? If they're close, I'll give you an A. It doesn't matter to me. And the way that I've always approached it is quite simply, what the hell do I care what I give you for a grade? What's the difference between a B plus and an A? It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not going to hire you. So might as well make you happy. But grade inflation, get this, grade inflation has become so severe that many students are nearing 4-point GPAs and they have to calculate to the fifth decimal place to find out if they're going to get summa cum laude. So many A's. And not surprising, about 85% of Harvard undergrads oppose the cap. And, the melodrama of young people never ceases to amaze me, where one student remarked that a change would make life not worth living. If you're going to be that triggered by not getting A's, that life would not be worth living, we don't need you. Just saying. I know it's a bold take, but if that's what drives you crazy, man, oh man. Now the class I teach now, and I tell these kids, listen, all you got to do is show up and participate, and you're probably going to get an A. It's really hard. You can't grade on a rubric for creativity, right? Some people are going to be more creative than others, but that doesn't mean there is a gold standard for creativity because it's subjective. So I kind of tell these kids, all you got to do is show up and participate and you get an A. And kids still don't show up. And they complain about their grades. It's like, I told you, show up and participate. And I put it to them as straightforward as possible. And I said, if you break it down to its simplest form, my job here is to make sure I prepare you for the real world, because this is all upper level juniors and seniors that I teach. My job is to prepare you for the real world. And it's not making sure you know all the stuff in the book. So what I tell them is, in the real world, your boss is going to expect you to show up and talk when they ask you questions. I can guarantee if your attendance, if the day is too cold or it's raining and you have to take the bus and you are not calling in and you're not going to be there, or when you do get there, you're not talking, okay, you're done. You're not going to last very long. So you came to college to get your dream job, and if you're not talking to anybody, you're not going to have your dream job, right? And I did this once, and then I told this to another instructor at Marquette. He did it once, and it worked like a charm. And I did this simply because I am the guy that is practical, right? And I'm the guy that also pisses off the academics half the time. And using that theory of you better show up to work and participate if you're willing to make a contribution to my company. One day I go in and everyone's sitting there and they don't line up in desks like this. It's like kind of like around the room, and I start talking and I'm looking for feedback, and everyone's just staring at me, because that's what happened to all these COVID kids, right? The only thing COVID taught them was how to just stare blankly straight forward and not say anything. So I'm about 10 minutes into the class, and I was just not having it, right? It's like, I'm tired of getting up and coming in here and having you guys stare at me. So I'm about 10 minutes into the class, and I go, okay, class is over. Get up. You can all leave. 10 minutes in, and they look at me like, what? I go, get up and leave. I go, class is over. Well, why is class over? Because I said it's over, and I'm the teacher. Well, why? But why? Why do you have to be? No, here, I'm going to tell you this. Let's say this is my company and I've hired all you people, and I call a meeting in a conference room. And imagine that you're sitting around a conference table, right? And I start talking, I start looking for feedback for the people that I'm paying money to, and you stare at me blankly. I have no use for you. So this meeting is over, and leave, and I'm going to go back and do something that I want to do that's more important. And it's very wild. When I told another teacher this, I did that at UWM. I told a teacher at Marquette I did it, and he was like, God, that's one of the ballsiest things I ever did. And 2 years later, he was getting the same thing happening, and he walked the room, and he goes, man, that worked like a charm. That was fantastic. It worked fantastically. A couple in Florida, big trouble. Couple in Florida is in big trouble, right? They're one is in their late 50s, one is in their early 60s. They are facing charges of assault after getting into a fight. Now, I can tell you, I haven't been in a fight in, I think, since Fred Zarda hit me in the head at a 9th grade dance. And so they got in a fight. Why did they get in a fight? What was the conflict in Florida? Give you 3 guesses. Pickleball. They were at Spruce Creek Country Club. Anthony Spienza and Julianne ended up getting handcuffed and taken away. They sparked a physical altercation involving more than a dozen people. This wasn't just, a little Donnybrook between a couple of people. This was a full-out riot. A dozen people a dozen senior citizens on a pickleball court. No, there weren't any kicks to the head, but a paddle to the face. It is estimated that up to nearly 20 people were involved in the fighting. 3 people were injured. The 3 that were injured told deputies that they were playing in a match against the Sapienzas. He's been accused of hitting another player with the pickleball paddle in the head. The incident started after Sapienza allegedly insulted his opponent's wife. And before it could slow down, it absolutely went crazy. And there were more than a dozen people involved. The paddle may have been used as a weapon. And they're going to sort that out. So the couple, they have, they're doing activities together, but they're facing felony charges. 2 counts of battery on a person 65 years and older, so that's elder abuse. And 1 account of aggravated battery. They both bonded out of jail, no court date, and have not heard whether or not they are going to be removed from the country club. And then I found this one. We're going to get them to talk to the Olympics a little bit. And I found this article, and I found it to be very interesting. And this came from a website, 72 Point. And according to 72 Point, these are the top 30 household arguments that couples get into it. And as I read this, I realized these are not arguments, really, because what these are things that guys do wrong. Arguments require 2 sides, right? These are not arguments. These are 30 of them. I would say most of them are just basically what I get yelled at for doing. Let's go down the list, huh? What temperature to have the heat at? Get yelled at that. Too hot, too cold. Why aren't you turning the lights out? You left that light on all night. Well, that's why I got those little plug-ins things. So now I've got it all programmed. You don't help out around here at all. Not the fair share of chores, although I do that a lot more. Are you just going to leave your shoes there right in the middle of the floor? Yes, I am. TV is too loud. Oh, okay. So I guess I'll just sit here and not hear the TV, and I'll just stare blankly ahead. Are you just going to walk by that and not pick it up? big fight thing. Why didn't you replace the toilet paper roll? Okay, something I've done. See, these are not arguments. These are where guys are being told what to do. Um, are those clothes? You're just going to leave those clothes on the floor there? Yeah, you know what? I am. That's what I call. We have a. If you go into my bedroom, our bedroom actually, the master bedroom. We can. Oh, that's right. I forgot. You can't even say master bedroom anywhere. The primary bedroom. You've got, when you walk in, we have a chase up against the wall where the windows are. And if those of you have watched and you've seen the Kenneth cam, you know where the chase is, right? And then immediately to the other side of that is where the king size bed is. And from the doorway, you cannot see the floor next to the king size bed and the little area between the floor and the chase. And so that is where my floor drobe lives. And Sue gets mad at that. I can understand why, but it's my floor drobe, right? No one can see it. So I probably got a couple pairs of pants down there, a t-shirt down there, some socks, right? I got my sleep pants, right? My floor drobe. This is the one that Drew and I always talk about, how to stack the dishwasher. That is a big one. Leaving just the toilet roll paper core anywhere or missing the bin at all. This is one that I take umbrage with. I will take umbrage with this till the day that I die. I'll ride this train straight to hell. And that is leaving the dishes to soak rather than washing them. No. At some point, you have to soak. You have to soak them. If there's gunk on the sides, you got to soak before you put them in the dishwasher. Otherwise, you're going to end up washing them again. Okay, wait. Let me rephrase that. You have to soak them before improperly putting them in the dishwasher. The toilet seat, should it be up or down? Which it's like, you left the toilet seat up. Well, why don't I just say you left the toilet seat down? No. What to have for dinner? Yeah, we have that. Phone use at the dinner table. We do not have phone use at the dinner table. When my son was growing up, it was a rule in our house. We always ate dinner together. When he had hockey practice, we waited till he got home. But the three of us always sat down at the dinner table and had a dinner like a family. Now, before he was around, and now that he's gone, Sue and I just eat on the couch and, watch. We eat big meals and watch My 600-Pound Life, and then just go. And then we bet on how much they weigh in at, and we try and guess. It's like, oh no, man, she put on weight. Doctor now told her to lose 35 pounds. Oh, and then we just guess at the weight and to see who was the closest. 627. No, 594. But slamming doors, don't slam doors. Emptying the trash, but not putting the new trash bag in, which is not true, which we don't have a problem with, because this is what I always do. When I take the trash out, I end up putting about 5 or 6 trash bags in the bottom of the trash can. And then once you take the trash out, there's one that's sitting right there. And then you reload afterwards. So you've always got the trash bag there. You don't have to go looking for it. Fighting over what to watch on TV, which I don't do anymore because I know we're going to be watching Below Deck or Guys Grocery Games. Eating the last of anything, which is true. It could sit in the pantry for a month and a half, and there could be one left. And it could be there for like a month. And then if you eat it, at that point, after it's been there, not even looked at for a month, did you eat that last Snickers bar? That mini? Yeah, I did. Why? Because it was there for a month. No one was going to eat it. Well, I wanted it. Oh, okay. Hogging the bathroom, we don't have that problem here. we have our bedroom in the primary, or bathroom in the primary bedroom, and we've got a guest bathroom. Now, we just put a whole shit ton of money into remodeling our bathroom, and it's quite gorgeous, by the way. And when my son was home during his last year of grad school, right, he was using his bathroom, or the upstairs bathroom. And then brand new bathroom, beautiful tiled floor to ceiling shower. And so I was showering in there. I don't know why I did it, but when he moved out, I went back into his bathroom. So I have my own bathroom. I'm not in the new one. I go to that one. So I don't hog the bathroom because I have my own. So if you have any other things that you fight about, those are, let me know. Hit me in the comments. A little bit of an Olympics update here, if you would like. I'm going to go through that. Some things that you need to know. Last night in curling, right? The mixed doubles curling team won silver. They lost to Sweden in a great match. And now it's like the men's round robin is going on, and I'm totally into that now, big time. Ashley Farquharson. Yeah, Ashley Farquharson. Yeah, she won the bronze medal in luge, only the second medal overall ever in the history of the United States in luge. Ben Ogden won the men's cross country sprint ski, making it the first American medal in 50 years since Bill Koch won it in 1976. And I cannot believe 1976 is 50 years ago. But if you do the math, it is. 50 years ago was the 70s. That's so wild. And then I said Jordan Stoltz from West Bend won the gold in the 1,000 meters. So congratulations them. But I was watching the of the Olympics, right? And the Summer Olympics, they're always putting, new or trial events in, right? They had that breakdancing thing, and then they're putting in flag football and stuff like that. The Winter Olympics doesn't just randomly add sports. You ever notice that? It's just we're going to stick with these sports. We're not adding really anything, except recently they added all the snowboarding and the X Games stuff, which is pretty cool. It's pretty kick-ass to watch. And it's skiing adjacent. But as I'm watching the luge last night, I realized that I guess they're called the sliding sports, if you will. So you got your luge, you got your two-man luge, you got your, I think your 2 and 4 man bobsleds, right? You got your skeleton, which is luge on your stomach. So you've got all these sliding sports. And as I'm watching it, I realize that, you know what these sliding sports are? The sliding sports are actually, they're not really sports at all. If you think about it, sliding sports are everything that somebody dared another guy to do when they were drunk. Or you're out there in the wintertime and it's like you're absolutely shit-faced. And you go, hey, dare you to go down this big hill face first. Or, hey, see if 4 of you can get on the sled and go down. That's it is. It's all dares. All of those winter sports are all dares. And guys did it when they were drunk to see if they could make it down. I know that, and I can say that because when I was in college, and the Olympics were going around, there was a sorority house, and I do recall this after a party, where we decided we were going to go bobsledding. But the sorority house wasn't on a big hill, but what the sorority house had was a long stairway. So my buddy Ace decided after the bars that, and I don't know where he found this, but he had a red, white, and blue motorcycle helmet, like from Easy Rider, and decided to go rip the legs off of a ironing board and use that as a bobsled to go down the stairs, which had a landing area of about 3.5 feet. So it was get speed down the stairs and then smash your head into the wall. But big fun. Big fun. Jacob and Evan, winter in Olympics is just to survive. Really, I mean, think about that. When you are going down that bobsled run, that's absolutely psychotic. And then now they have, I think they have the snowboarding cross country, or the snowboarding like motocross, X cross, or whatever they call it, snowboarding X cross. But I've also seen them do that. And I don't know if they do it on a bobsled run, but I've seen them go on hockey skates. So it's like motocross hockey skates on ice, which is absolutely psycho. One thing that's really cool, though, is because the games are very similar, is lacrosse on hockey skates. If you ever see that, some guys did that, played lacrosse on hockey skates. But now that we're talking about the Olympics, we found him. We found Wink McAllister, and we found Wink, and we sent him to Milan. Yes, he is in Milan with updates, and he's filing his reports. I know you love him. I know you missed him, but it's none other than the great Wink McAllister.
Hello, everybody, again. This is Wink McAllister, and I'm back in the game. Not on the game, because the game doesn't exist anymore. Back in the game, as in the world of broadcasting. I want to extend my sincere thanks to KB for reaching out and convincing me to join his Unemployed Show. He's unemployed, I'm unemployed, and that makes a hell of a synergistic combination, if you ask me. For those of you who didn't know, Trixie left me after I lost my job, and I was on my own for the first time in 71 years. So I headed west to the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California, and went back to my favorite place to stay, the Hotel Cecil in downtown L.A. It's been a long time since I was there, and I'm not going to lie, they've let it go. But they must have recognized me because I was given the luxurious Ramirez suite, so it's not all that bad. Anywho, when KB called, I jumped at the chance to get back in front of the mic. How could I resist? And when he said he wanted me to go to Milan, Italy, I was ecstatic. I've always wanted to cover Fashion Week, and here was my chance. So here I am, calling you from the plaza in front of the big church in the center of Milan known as the Duomo, which is short for Duomo Morigato, or the Church of Robots. Well, I don't know what's going on in this city, but it is buzzing with excitement. There are people here from all over the world. They seem to be milling around in groups wearing the same outfits. Must be all the fashions on parade. So I started asking people what was going on, and there seems to be some type of sporting event happening this week, which was surprising to me because I am usually up to date on that sort of thing. But I tell you, I'm completely in the dark on this one. But I assure you I will get the scoop before I head back to America. Now I want to tell the folks back home, the people here are very friendly. I met a beautiful young woman by the name of Stephanie Costanza. Sweet little brown-haired filly she was. Told me she was a curler. Now I have no idea what a curler is, so I asked her to explain. Since she only spoke Italian, I really didn't catch everything. But apparently a curler is someone who throws big rocks on the ice and tries to hit other rocks. And she does it as a profession. Well, I don't know how you'd make a living doing that, but she sure seemed happy. And then I bumped into this American guy. A fancy-looking guy. Big, poofy black hair. He was wearing a sequin puffy shirt. Told me his name was Jimmy Weir. And he was a former figure skating champion. Well, if there's one thing I know for sure, those male figure skaters sure are fancy. In fact, my old buddy Dick Button was one hell of a sharp dresser in his day. But truth be told, the old Winker spent a lot of time around the rink early in my career. I banged Sonia Hetty in the snack bar at the Spiker Super Ice Palace in Oslo back in the day. You know, we were both standing in line waiting for an order of lutefisk, and before you know it, I was spanking her bare bottom with a piece of frozen whitefish in the cooler. And she was into it. She was a freaky one, I tell you. Oh, I gotta run now because I'm almost out of minutes on the old jitterbug. But I'm going to find out what's going around here and report back to you later. Until then, this is Wink McAllister from Milan, Italy saying, ciao, everybody.
Wink is back. Thank you, Wink. Doesn't know that there's a sporting event going on. Thought he was covering Fashion Week, but of course, why wouldn't that happen? And that brings us to what color is the sky on your planet? This one comes to us from Stoughton, Wisconsin. Stoughton, Wisconsin. What color? Oh, law enforcement agencies have been trying to track down a criminal. That criminal is a serial pooper who has been pooping at a local park. People were out along this walking trail, and they found on a regular basis human poop and toilet paper so many times it merited an investigation. Now, what they did was they deployed a lot of drones, heat-sensitive drones that were flying over the area. And this time it came in handy because they thought it was an isolated problem, but they started flying the drone on a regular basis, and they set up a number of trail cameras inside the park. And sure enough, on the morning of February 5th, they caught the perp in the act. In the act. They found her, a 46-year-old woman, caught her mid-dump. The culprit, who the police say was not homeless, did not exhibit any overt signs of mental illness, and admitted, yeah, she used the bathroom at a certain time and location based on a personal pattern, and was charged with indecent conduct. So, to the woman who decides to go out on a walk and then just doesn't set her time, doesn't have her timing right, and goes out and tries to signal for the curve off the walking path and leave it there, all I can say to her is, what color's the sky on your planet? Man, you kidding me? Now, I've gone out for walks before, and I've in the morning, it's like, I'm going to go out for my morning walk, right? And you got to time it. You know as well as I do, you got to time it. If you've ever done that, man, you have to know when to get home. I've cut my walk short because I could feel the old stomach going. It's like, I'd better turn back now. If I don't, I'm going to be in big trouble. But anyway, watching some of the events last night on the Olympics got me thinking about what is my top 5 going to be. And my top 5 today, KB's top 5 all-time worldwide, are going to be my top 5 favorite moments from the Winter Olympics. Now, these are not necessarily the most legendary moments, although I will say this, they are legendary, right? But there are other moments that may be more legendary than this. But these are the ones that first came to mind when I think Winter Olympics. This is the stuff that pops out, right? And there are a lot of the, Lindsay, some people may say one of the most memorable moments was Shaun White winning all the gold medal in the and doing, a backside 48-70 or whatever the hell they do. Or it may have been, some other figure skating event, or, Nancy Kerrigan coming back and winning a medal after the whole Tanya Harding thing. Those are very exciting moments. Eric Heiden becoming the first real speed skater, winning 5 medals in one Olympics. Bonnie Blair becoming the most decorated women's athlete in Winter Olympic history, right? So those are a lot of moments, but these are my top 5, the top 5 that I remember growing up watching the Olympics. And coming in at number 5 is Eddie the Eagle Eddie the Eagle in Calgary. Looks like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Eddie the Eagle, if you remember, he was a ski jumper from Great Britain, the only ski jumper that Great Britain has ever had. Eddie the Eagle took the world by storm. Oh, are you kidding me? Heroin. That's what it says. Hello from Norway. Algorithms brought me here. Are you serious? Well, welcome. I'm just talking about the Winter Olympics. You guys are very into the Winter Olympics. I'm into the Winter Olympics, but I cannot believe you're here all the way from Norway. So congratulations. Might be. Do you know Sonia Henny? Because we just had a guy that knew her very well. Anyway, welcome from the land of the midnight sun, if you will. You have great speed skaters, right? And great winter sports there in Norway. But I'm sure that you have. I'm sure that you have a lot of different great Norwegian heroes in Olympic history. But my number 5 is Eddie the Eagle from Calgary, 1988. Yep, Norway is a Winter Olympic nation, predicted 35 medals. It's always Norway, Finland, Sweden. Italy's doing pretty well right now. But the United States, we're summer games. We're the summer games. It's the winter games for the European countries, doing very well. I just love watching them. I just absolutely love watching it. Anyway, Eddie the Eagle is coming in at number 5. That's where I'm at. Eddie the Eagle is at number 5. And I'm so glad to have someone watching from Norway. Spread the word around, to your other Norwegian friends and say, hey, you got to go watch this guy. He's an idiot, which I am, without a doubt. Number 4 goes way, way back, but I remember this when I was a little kid, and there was something that we were looking forward to. It was one of the most amazing downhill ski runs, and we're going to go to Innsbruck in 1976, and Franz Klammer, the Swiss skier, in that yellow ski suit from top to bottom, just flying out of control, basically, in the final run to win the gold medal. And I don't know why I remember that Franz Klammer run, but I could have been, 8 or 9 years old, but I remember wanting to see that more than anything. And that comes in at number 4. Number 3, in fact, number 3, number 2, and number 1 are all going to be close to the heart of Wisconsinites. Number 3 is Dan Jansen and Lillehammer in 1994. We all lived that pain with him between 1988 and 94. In 1988, where he fell after hearing that his sister had died of leukemia, and fell and did not medal, and he was the world champion at the time. Then it's like, okay, understandable. Let's go to 1992. And in 1992, in Albertville, fell again. And you're thinking, how is this possibly going to happen? How does this happen? How does this happen 2 Olympics in a row? And aging in 1994, he went to Lillehammer and finally got his gold medal in the 1,000 meters, and damn near fell on a turn there, but was able to right himself. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he set the world record. And I think we can all remember him skating around with his daughter in his arms with the American flag, and his daughter's name is Jane, named after his sister. The end of that long, painful experience is a great, great Olympic story, without a doubt. And I met Dan several years later, got to know him a little bit, and I still tell them it's, one of the most inspirational things I've ever seen. And it's really interesting to talk to somebody. They just have such a different mindset about the way they approach things and the way they approach life. And it's very inspirational and something that I couldn't do. Number two, and I know many of you are going to say, why isn't this number one? And there's a very good reason. Number two is the Miracle on Ice in Lake Placid, 1980. We've all heard the stories. We've all heard the call. We all have heard the fact that it was played in the afternoon and it was embargoed. And no one said anything about it, and watched the game against the Russians. That it was a Friday night, I believe. And it was one of the greatest moments in Olympic history. The Herb Brooks speech, great moments are born of great opportunity. And that's what you have here tonight, boys. But beating the Russians, and I have not watched the new documentary on Netflix, but I mean to. But the 130 for 30 that you do want to see, if you ever get a chance, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's the 30 for 30 on the 1980 Olympics and 1980 hockey game between the United States and the Soviets, but it is told from the Soviet perspective, not the American perspective. And it's really, really interesting. And Vladislav Tretiak, who was the goalie, who was like the greatest goalie to ever play the game, who got hooked after the first period for God knows what reason, was saying that they were all amazed when the United States won. And they all stood there and they were watching the United States celebrate. And the way that he explained it was saying that we never had that much joy and victory. And they really didn't. They were all employees of the government. They were all in the Russian army. That's how Russia had such great athletes. It's like that was going to be your job. You're going to play for the Russian hockey team, and we're going to put you in the Russian army, and you are going to remain an amateur, but that's all you're going to do is play hockey. But they were all amazed. They stood there. They said, we stood there and watched just because they saw the joy, and it was something that they hadn't experienced, which is an amazing story. So if you ever get a chance, go look up that 30 for 30. It's absolutely riveting. And then finally, my number one all-time Winter Olympic moment. And it's adjacent. It's Miracle on Ice adjacent. And it's really not an Olympic moment. It's nothing that was ever, it didn't happen in the Olympics. It didn't happen at the time of the Olympics. But it is my number one Olympic memory. And that is putting on the gold medal from the 1980 hockey team. And that's right there. That is the Lake Placid gold medal. My son's there. He's probably about 10 years old at the time. I'm wearing the gold medal. We are at, if you look into the right to my son's, behind my son, you can see there's a little stage set up there where my buddy and I, Bobby, were playing a gig at Mark Johnson's house. Right. And that's how we got to see the gold medal. And he said, yeah, put it on. And wearing the freaking 1980 Olympic gold medal. It's so surreal to have something like that on. Arguably, probably one of the most notable, not notorious in a bad way, but one of the most well-known, and if not the greatest Olympic gold medal of all time, would be that, at least in American history, might be that Olympic hockey medal, unless you go back and look at like Jesse Owens in Berlin. But to be able to put that medal on, man, it was the coolest thing in the world. Mark Johnson's such a great guy for allowing us to do that. And half of his players, half of the U.S. women's team now are former Mark Johnson players. And they absolutely lit up Canada yesterday, 5-0. I'm sure they'll face them again in the medal round. But that is the show for today, folks. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I got to figure out what to do to get us back up over the hundreds because we're only at 17 now. But hopefully people are, they'll go back and check out the show and the little snippets that I put up there. I want to thank you guys for joining in. And I'm going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest on the show tomorrow. I'm getting back into having some interviews. And we're going to have, for you people in Wisconsin, you're not going to know this for the people who are still here, possibly from Norway. But we're going to have Ted Perry on. He is an anchor. He is a news anchor on Fox 6. I've known Ted for years, but we're not going to talk about the news. We're not going to talk about sports because I can't. But we're going to talk about music and we're going to talk about other things. And feel free, but he will talk about news or he could talk about being an anchor. He was also, we'll probably dive into this. He was Bucky Badger when he was in college at the University of Wisconsin. So he'll tell us some Bucky Badger stories. So that is coming up tomorrow on KB's Unemployed Show. And in the meantime, folks, all I have to say to you is make good choices. And that's it for this episode of KB's Unemployed Show. If you want to follow me on my unemployed journey, just subscribe to my channel below or dive into one of the playlists for all my unemployed action.